So, everybody, good morning and thank you for your time on Saturday morning. We are really excited actually to have you guys here and to put together a really amazing panel of mentors that we have who've been working with our students for a long time. So, without further ado, I know a lot of people are still joining, but we will start away and we welcome you to not only hear from our guests and understand what they do and feel free to ask questions. You can put your questions in the chat. We will have Q&A later as well, but please feel free to keep putting your questions in the chat if you have anything in particular, and we will keep addressing your questions as the webinar goes along. Right, so a very, very quick introduction before we plunge into it. So, we've been working in college counseling, working with students, applying for leading colleges across the world, across US, UK, India, Singapore for many years. And we've learned that the most important thing is to guide students towards creating a profile that really distinguishes them from other students, because a lot of students work hard, they have good grades, but what do you do that really showcases your interest in the subject? And so over the years, we found that two things that really make a difference and are accessible to all students are academic research in an area that you are interested in and creative portfolios that can really show your well-rounded personality, whether you're applying for creative courses or not. So today we are going to showcase mentors in both these areas. So very quickly, the academic research we will come to in depth in a little while. We will start with our creative portfolios, and we have mentors who will guide you into understanding how you can create a strong portfolio piece for art and design or for filmmaking and podcasts, right? So these are areas that almost all students are interested in, one or the other. So it's a very strong opportunity for them to really create something. So a very quick overview before I hand it over to my mentors and allow them to share their work with you. So what creative portfolios allow students to do is they allow you to express your ideas through various creative media, right? You could create a themed film or a themed podcast. It's a lot of work, but it's an absolutely impressive piece when it comes together. You can build a portfolio in 2D or 3D art. And we will today be taking you through how to build a portfolio using the tools of filmmaking, podcast, art, and design. I want to welcome our speakers for this event over here. We have Bidisha, who's running the Footprint Film Festival, where she showcases children's movies, and she's herself been working in media and film for a very long time. And we have Shalina, who's an artist, and she runs this beautiful art studio, and she's been working with students in art and design and helping them build portfolios which are both 2D and 3D portfolios. We have Shibani, who's also an artist who has worked with several students in various portfolios in 2D art and particularly looking at areas like product design as well. And we have with us Hema Ramanathan. Hema works closely with Bidisha across the portfolios pieces, whether it is film or whether it's podcast. She's an author and a series editor, and she really helps students put together the scripts, whether it is for film or for podcast, while Bidisha Bidisha and her team provide them the creative direction and a beautiful platform for them to really showcase their work in the Footprint festivals, which are festivals that run across the world. Across the country, sorry. Right. So I'll now allow them to introduce themselves to you and then take it from there. Bidisha, if you'll please share a little about yourself and about the work that students do with you. You might also want to bring Hema into the work as you go along.
Thank you, Richa. It's a lovely morning. It's warm, but it's lovely. So welcome everybody, and excited to be on this webinar this morning. I'd let Hema say a quick hello and then move on to our presentation. Okay, so I'm going to share some slides and then probably get you to watch very quickly some of the work that our students have done. Is my screen visible to all of you?
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, great. So I wasn't very happy when I was making this PowerPoint presentation, and everybody in my team insisted that we put this photograph where you can see me with the youngster. And but I think it really sort of speaks about what Footprint is all about. So there are two parts to Footprint: Footprint Film Festival, as Richa mentioned, and then we of course have the Footprint Center for Learning, which is very much about mentoring, creativity, and the power of digital storytelling. So I think this kind of photograph speaks about our journey of empowering young people to find their voice and share their stories with the world. So yes, Richa, in a way, the festival is worldwide because when we started it, and even now it's on our YouTube channel and it can be seen across the world when the festival happens. So there's both the online and the offline, and we'll go a little more detail into that. So as I mentioned, I think our work at Footprint is, the mission is very it's transformative, and we kind of equip 13 to 18-year-olds, primarily in schools. We, of course, also work with the 19 to 24-year-olds in equipping them with the skills of digital storytelling, which is filmmaking, podcasting, and journalism. And we want them to be skilled to be able to make those films and also be able to showcase them. So I think we believe that digital storytelling is a very powerful experiential learning tool, especially in the context of schools. And it kind of aligns very well with not only with NEP 2020 and NCF 2023, but even our previous policies have always talked about experiential learning. And so most of our courses align very, very well with that. Priyanjana Datta and I started Footprint, only in 2020, and it was amidst sort of, global uncertainty in 2020 when we were hit by COVID. And since then, we've embarked on I would say for ourselves, with our students, an incredible journey of impacting or reaching out to almost 10,000 students who've been from across India, in fact, across about 18 states in India, as well as some international, a lot of Indian students overseas as well. And I think what we primarily, like I said, we do is we provide digital storytelling skills, as well as our annual Footprint Festival, which now physically, we are in the 6th year now. It happens in Delhi, it happens in Kolkata, and we're very thrilled that it's going to this time happen at the Kochi Biennale as well, end of the year. Very quickly, this is the leadership team. So like I mentioned, Priyanjana and I started Footprint in 2020, although almost 5 years before that, we were already working in this space, and we were working as just facilitators with students. But 2 years ago, we joined hands with the Peninsula Studios, and we have a much larger team, but this is the leadership team. We have Anil Deve, who's the CEO, and Sita Rayana and Shubhati Chattopadhyay, who started the Peninsula Studios 15 years ago. So Footprint is a vertical of the Peninsula Studios. We have a very large body of facilitators, and they're all mostly filmmakers, cinematographers, script writers, podcasters, script writing for various different mediums. These are some of the people. Hema, you'll get to meet, and I will bring in Hema to share about her experiences working with students. We're also spread across the country. So we do have facilitators in not just in Delhi, but in Kolkata, in Bangalore, in Chennai. Have I missed anything? No, not as yet. So that's how big or small we are. But across the country, and we have workshops which are led by many of these facilitators. There are also people who are from the industry. They're all professionals. Many of them you would have heard about, or you would have seen their films, or many of them would have edited some very well-known films. For example, Ankur edited Dam Laga Ke Haisha. I'm sure you watched it. So all professionals from the field of media and the entertainment industry, because that's the space we work in. Okay, this is just for you to quickly look at how it's been for us over the past 5 years primarily. Like I mentioned, in 2020, we started off as an online film festival because it was COVID times. And from 30 films, now at our festival, we receive more than 200 films every year. So it's been an incredible journey. In fact, when we started the online festival, we didn't know that we were the first festival, online film festival that was showcasing films made by children. And I know a lot of the 13 to 18 don't want to be called children. So, teenagers and young adults. But yes, the festival was one of the first to do that. Of course, it's a festival which is still free. We do a lot of learning happens at the festival. So the festival is not just a stepping stone showcase, but it's also a learning space. Okay, I think I've talked too much, and I'd request if quickly Richa could share. It's a very short trailer of, I've just picked a few of my favorite films that students have made. I just want to make 2 points before you watch these. And these are just parts of films, right? All these films were made in about 30 hours time over a period of mostly 5 days, 6 days, maximum a month. They've all been made by students between 13 to 18-year-olds. And I think there's one film which is made by a 21-year-old. And none of these films we have touched. We have not shot it. We have not, as adults, as facilitators, we have not even edited. So we never touch our students' work at all. So enjoy.
नमस्ते मेम साहब, मेरा नाम रोशनी है और मैं घर में काम करती हूँ। क्या आपको कोई काम करने वाली चाहिए क्या?
Ringing tunes and forgotten words, lost poetry echoing through, vast halls where the music died, sad, silent, and blue. Shalina?
Thank you so much. That was really, really beautiful to watch.
Thanks.
That was really, really beautiful to watch, Bidisha. Thank you so much. And I've seen your work and I've seen you guiding students to do this. This is a great opportunity for students to really both learn filmmaking and to actually enjoy this creative process. I also want to introduce to you Hema Ramanathan. Hema works with the script with Bidisha across both film and podcasts. She's really a wonderful author and a passionate educator. Hema, over to you. If you can just share a little bit about how you've been working with students.
Can I ask Bidisha to continue with the PowerPoint, please? Because I think the slides kind of work with our way through this.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Hema, I'm just going to bring you in.
Yeah.
Okay, straight into the programs that we offer. There are 3 programs that we work, like Richa mentioned. There's filmmaking, there's podcasting, and journalism. The 3 courses are, they're called Let's Make Film Soundly and Newsworthy. All the 3 programs are 30 hours each. Out of those 30 hours, students spend considerable amount of time with us, and then there is, of course, the part where they work on their scripts, their shooting, their editing, their writing, right? And there are about 2 facilitators who work with them from all the range of facilitators that we saw. And the 30 hours is, of course, also spent, depending on the student's availability and the time that the student is able to, work on the project itself. We work with the student around that time, but we normally suggest that you finish the 30 hours maximum of a month and a half. Yeah. And like I mentioned earlier, the work that we do is very much aligned to NEP 2020, and the framework that we use is that of the 4 C's of creativity, communication, critical thinking, and collaboration. I'd like to bring Hema in and ask her to share a little bit about how the framework helps in actually not all students are going to become finally, like Richa mentioned, not everybody is wanting to become a filmmaker or a podcaster or for that matter, a journalist. But how does the framework and the skill framework, Hema, if you could talk about how that sort of helps in the overall development of the student and the needs of future in a way for them to have.
Thank you. I think where I come from, all of us have a story to tell. Each of us has many stories, but definitely a story about our lives, about who we are and where we're coming from and where we want to get to. And that is a story that young adults and teens need to say and to be aware of, because yours is a developing story. It's not a story that ends. It is a story that's beginning right now. So to be aware of what the story might be and where it might go would be really helpful. So when we've talked about creativity, and I think anybody can see that making a film or writing in itself is creative. But we're also looking at communication, and we're using different mediums to communicate, right? We're using visual, we're using auditory, and those are important for us to recognize that those mediums need a different kind of approach to the same story. You can't write one script and expect it to be effective in each of those mediums, because the mediums have different purposes and they have different limitations and different support systems. So when you write a story, it is to get creative about how you do it, but it's also critical thinking in terms of how you think about it. It comes into what happens, what if, why not, how did that happen? So all the WH questions we talk about in critical thinking are fundamental to storytelling. Ultimately, and I need to say this, when we look at films, the first thing we take away from any film is a story. If we are not caught up in that story, we don't go back to rewatch that film. If the story appeals to us, it makes us cry, it makes us laugh, it makes us think, we go back and watch it again. That's when we go deeper into it and say, hey, that camera angle is good. Why is this room so dark for this shot? What happens if it's a little lighter, if it's brighter? So the technicalities of filmmaking, or the technicalities of why did he drop his voice when they were speaking about this in a podcast, for instance? Those technical details come in much later. But we need to talk first about how sustainable, how complete, and how authentic the story is, and how authentic the characters are in that story. So that's really what we're talking about when we talk about.
Yes.
Any questions on that?
No, Hema, I think that's beautiful. And I have one question to both of you, to both Bidisha and Hema, which is that how do you work with the student? You know, often high school students are really struggling. They have an idea, but when they actually get down to the nitty-gritties of it, then the rigor of it can really put them off. And, you know, then they don't turn up, they may not do their work. So how do you motivate students to actually do the work?
To do any creative piece of work, it's an internal motivation. External motivation lasts only so long. You need to want to tell your story, which means you need to try to find the story that you want to tell. You need to want to meet the challenges of the creative project. And practically every teen I know wants to prove themselves to themselves, except they don't know that. That's where we come in. So these projects are personal, they're individual, and they come from internal motivation. So while I understand this program of yours requires people and suggests that people should do it for a purpose, the purpose helps. External motivation begins a project, but the project is sustained when the project becomes interesting, authentic, and important to the self. So we work with the student every step of the way.
Thank you
We
so much.
look at their drafts. We are with them when they have a problem. We problem solve immediately. It's on the job problem solving. It's on the tick of problem solving.
Wonderful, Hema. And I think that this film festival, particularly, is a great opportunity. Many of our students have actually showcased their work in the film festival. And if you guys want to know more about it, then you can connect with us. Bidisha, I want to just show them the framework of 30 hours that we work with. If you don't mind, I'll share my screen and show them that. And then I also want them to understand the other creative areas. So if there's anything that you want to add, please add that. And then we can, you know, start showcasing the actual program.
Sure, thanks, Richa. I just wanted to sort of just quickly mention some of the key takeaways. One, of course, you learn the skills of making a film or a podcast or different types of writing if you decide to do the newsworthy course. All these courses are ratified and recognized by the National Skill Development Corporation of India. So students get the Government of India certification. Hema already mentioned about how it's very hands-on, right? So they actually do a lot more. It's not theoretical. There are theoretical foundations on which it is built, but it's what they actually do and produce. She's already talked about the skills, so I won't get into it. Two other things that I'd like to share about is there are various opportunities for students after doing the course to intern with other organizations from the media or from even the developmental sector. So our students are now beginning to go and work at Hindustan Times, at FM Fever as editors, right? There are other organizations, art organizations, which take them on for content creation, and of course the festival. So that's from my end. Thank you, Richa. I'm sorry for taking up a little more time.
No, not at all, Bidisha. Not at all. I think it's a great opportunity, and there are so many things that we want to share with students that we unfortunately don't have all the time to, I know there must be so many questions and so much more that you could share, but do reach out to us if you want to really know more about any of these areas. So, we're very excited about offering this prepLABS platform for you to connect with our mentors for building these one-to-one projects. So there's an email ID and the phone number over here where you can find out more. Here I'm just giving you a sort of an overview. The film and podcast programs are essentially 30-hour programs over 4 to 6 months, and they are one-to-one, where you can really work with other students and work with your mentors, come up with an idea and really complete a project. So please feel free to reach out and to really access this beautiful platform that you have of really showcasing your work, not just building it, but also showcasing your work. So thank you, Bidisha. Thank you, Hema. I want to now move to art and design, where we work with, and we have been working for a while with Shalina and Shibani, helping our students build the most beautiful portfolios. And, I think Shalina runs this beautiful studio, which is here near Golsuk in Gurgaon. And Shibani also does a lot of work with students online. So, between the two of them, we've got all our students covered. Someone who can go to a studio and who wants to do 3D work as well, someone who can't and who would be happy to work online. And what I really have seen over the years, that both of them are magicians, even with students who are not so good with art. And we've got some beautiful portfolios. If you don't mind my showcasing some of it as you guys speak, I will keep sharing it. So over to you both. Shalina, if you'd want to introduce yourself and your work first. You're on mute, Shalina. Yeah,
Hi,
yeah.
I'm Shalina and I'm a practicing artist. So I'm a painter and I'm also working with ceramic and metal and different mediums. So that's one part of my practice. And alongside, I also run a studio called the Art Room, where we have students starting from 4 years plus coming in at different days and timings. And yeah, so they begin our art journey at the art room as young as 4 years. And we work with older students across, all the way up to 12th graders. And we have separate programs for pre-portfolio where they're working on their, skills and trying to understand processes and ways of seeing and thinking and developing their critical thinking before they get on to starting work on their final portfolios. So I will, just to give a little overview how we like to typically approach students beginning their journey to build a portfolio. So a couple of years, I think they start realizing or deciding when they're in grade 8, 9, 10th as to they want to pursue something in art and design, and that's when they can start working on programs where they're developing their basic skill sets, understanding about different mediums, techniques, what works for them in terms of their expression, what are their strengths. And then typically in the 11th is when we like to start on the journey to building their final pieces, where they start ideating and understanding first what colleges they would like to shortlist, what are the areas that they would like to focus on. And depending on that, their portfolios might have specific requirements or might want to align a few pieces as per the requirements of the colleges that they decide to apply for. Uh, Typically, when they're starting to working on the portfolio, the first important objective for them is to, of course, research the schools they want to and how we can tailor make their workshop, the portfolio according to the colleges. Also understanding what they want to narrate as a story, what they want to speak about. So we start with a portfolio should be an honest reflection of, who you are, what is the story you like to tell about yourself, about your concerns, addressing issues that might concern you. So that's a trajectory that we like to kind of encourage the students to start thinking about, which is the beginning of the process. It could tell, or explore complex ideas like about the environment, the nature, interaction with, man and the environment, or social issues, cultural context. It could be gender issues, identity issues. So whatever comes out as an honest outcome is what we like the students to start their journey with. And as they move on, they start reflecting on what areas concern them. And then we develop ideas, brainstorm, ideate. Um we like to encourage them to start with a research, maybe a primary research, a secondary research, and how to approach what you want to arrive at eventually. Where are you drawing your inspirations? What is your initial brainstorming? So these explorations is what the first maybe 1 or 2 months of brainstorming before they get on to exploring different materials and techniques. That's how we start conceptualizing. We do have a facility here where, apart from the traditional mediums like drawing, painting, observation, students are working with ceramic, they're exploring objects, different materials. We have a printmaking studio as well, where students explore different printmaking techniques like woodcut or colography, intaglio, dry point, and all of that. So, of course, again, we're also guiding them to create works which are digitally created. Of course, we are not into films, but if there are students who are working on a digital platform, we are mentoring them. So, like if you can see some of these slides which Richa is sharing, uh, so these are some images and slides from one of our students' portfolios. So just to give you an idea, she did a project. Richa, can we go to the ceramic slide, please? So depending on the colleges, we have a range from creating portfolios from 10 slides to about 25 to 30 slides. And each college has their specific requirements. Some colleges would want more research and initial explorations. So we would typically work on slides where we are showing, initial experiments, say if it's for glazes, then how the construction and the pieces are visualized, and then all the way up to the final process, up to the firing. So this is a series of works that was conceived about Beyond Darkness, which was about, again, identity issues that she was working on. And this is a piece in ceramic stoneware. And she, worked and experimented with a few glazes, and then, went on to hand building pieces. And there would be some colleges which just want final pieces from a project. So what we do is typically have 4 to 5 iterations of the portfolio where we are working on showcasing the process very extensively, and a few iterations where we are focusing more on just the final outcome. Say, for example, this slide would just, show the final outcome with, few different perspectives of the piece that you're working on. Yeah. So if you can see this, this is a very detailed step-by-step, presentation. This was, I think, for the, I think for one of the colleges. I think the UCAS has the 5 colleges. So she had applied for the University of Arts London.
Yes,
And
for
they
UAL particularly, yeah, she
yeah,
had.
so they want a very detailed, process, initial research, and how you're conceptualizing your final piece. And this work was part of also one of the challenge prompts from one
Yes.
of the colleges, where she was asked to respond on her environment, and how she then she responded onto creating this work as to how she is looking at the safety aspect of the environment that she is in, and so on. So she titled this as Unsafe. And this is again a mixed media work. And the previous slide was all the initial explorations that she did for the final project. So for this particular application, we had 3 slides dedicated to the project. So that's how we kind of work on various iterations. So if you look at this slide, the initial explorations were about the maps and the surrounding environment and how she's looking at the physical aspects of the space around it. And then working on, creating a mixed media, background where she explored various mediums and techniques and then arrived at using the roller to create her textures. So this is how we typically represent the process. And do we have any more images, Richa?
I had actually put together these
Yeah,
5 from some of
sure.
our
So,
students.
I mean, I think seeing these, you can get an idea of how to approach. And along with this, of course, as we go along building the portfolio, we have a lot of discussions about how they're ideating, how they want to reflect on what they are creating. And we encourage them to, write about their pieces so that they have a clarity of what they are trying to communicate and express through the piece. And then, of course, we help the students to edit and fine tune as to if what they finally land up including as part of their text. Again, here it might be one comprehensive test, or they might expect detailed descriptions of each work and each project that they're working on.
Right, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Shalina. And again, it's a beautiful opportunity to work with Shalina because she really helps you come up with concepts. And she's worked with students who are not so talented with art and conceptual ideas also, and help them really come up with concepts that mean something to them so that it engages the student to do work. I think that's really the opportunity to work with a talented artist and teacher like Shalina and Shibani, who I would like to
Another
bring in
thing
now.
that I'd
Yes,
like
yes,
to add
Shalina.
is that even for the college applications, many times students get intimidated because they might not have, the very core skills of observation and painting. But what I would like to add is that there's always a way to work around your strengths to figure what are the techniques and mediums that you enjoy, which enable you to express what you want to. So it doesn't always have to be the traditional, mediums and techniques. And every portfolio, we do encourage them to include 2, 3 samples which do reflect their technique, but it's not just all about that. So that's something that also students can keep in mind when they're conceiving their trajectory and see what they can include in terms of materials.
Right, absolutely. Thank you, Shalina. And I'm sorry to rush you. It's
So
just that,
please go
because there are
ahead.
so many speakers. So, Shibani, I'd like to bring you in over here. And Shibani's also worked magic with so many of our students at varying levels of skill. Over to you, Shibani.
Hi. So it's been a pleasure here working with you and Inomi as per. And Shalina has covered up lots and lots of things what a portfolio needs. And to add on to that, I can say that I personally request the students to start observing, especially the 8th, 9th, and 10th. When they come, they are slightly younger and they are still so much influenced by, the apps that are there, Pinterest and all. So I normally tell them to be observant, go around, see around, feel, touch. So I start with that. And then I kind of tell them to be original. So especially when the basic of art and the fundamentals need to be there, because 3 to 4 pieces of your portfolio need to have the skill, they give you the skill slides also. So that's where I personally think that these 8th, 9th, and 10th graders, they should kind of focus a little bit on their basics is what I normally insist on. So, Richa, you will share the slides or should I share the slides?
I'll share them.
Okay, thank you.
Here they are.
So this is from one of my students where I used to ask her to sketch. Her sketches will come later. So here she's done some charcoal work where I've also been able to ask her to understand the values, the light and dark, and everything also. So after her sketching skills, she improved a lot and she came to this. So this is the next one, please. So this is, I always ask the students to maintain a small sketchbook. I know some of them will be just getting into architecture, some of them into animation, some of them into product. But somehow I personally feel that, this is also, knowing what is all around you, and stop looking at Pinterest, start maintaining a small sketchbook, start understanding whatever you feel. Just like Shalina also said, the environment around, kind of, you have to be interactive with that. And the next one, please. Here there is observation. Of course, the student is, 2-3 students of mine are very good with watercolors, and that's where that was their forte. So I kind of made sure that, their observation, their flowers around. So I picked them up. I helped them understand the colors and all that around here. So this is sketching again, observation. I keep the objects there, and then this is just the basic skills. I personally try, and I'm emphasizing on the very basic skills that one should have to kind of build upon. See, you have to, on a very, it's a macro level and then the micro level. The macro level is you need to know how to be creative. You need to know how to use your pencils. You need to know all those things. And then you can probably choose your micro subjects, which is your architecture or your product designing or whatever. So originality, again, emphasize on originality here. Originality and observation.
Thank you, Shibani. Those were very inspiring pieces to see as well. We have questions for both of you, so I'll quickly run through them. The first one is, what are some fields for a student who loves art but at the same time is passionate about math and science? Could you suggest some fields and careers? So I guess product design comes to my mind. What any suggestions, Shibani, Shalina?
Yeah, I think product design, of course. Then there are students who are inclined towards space designs, in interior space. Uh,
Yes. Yes.
Again, a lot of web design, UI, UX, which is another area where students who are slightly technically inclined can explore areas like that. Of course, there's architecture as well. So we've
Industrial
got
design.
automobile design, which is
Industrial
again,
design.
sorry,
Industrial designs also now.
industrial
Industrial
design,
design, product design, automobile design.
product, furniture, industrial
Yes.
is kind of one area, interior, space design, exhibition design, all of that kind of comes to do with a lot of space.
There's also scientific illustrations and animation, which also you need the
Animation,
understanding of physics
yeah,
and math
yeah.
along
There's
with
also
the
game design where you design characters and things like that, and
Right.
yeah, and
So,
3D environments and levels and logics and so on. Yeah.
so basically, UI and UX kind of covers animation and all this, depending on what your area of interests are, whether it's the aesthetics of it, or the experience related, where you're looking at the interface in terms of experience, and one you're looking in terms of the aesthetics and the visuals that are developed. So I think animation could be could come under that. So primarily, these are the broad areas, and as
Absolutely.
so much is happening now online, and I think a lot of openings are there.
Yes, a
Tragically,
lot of
of
opportunities
from
are there,
the
and I'll try and
yeah,
summarize this right now in a message. I want
yeah.
to ask you the next question here, which is, do universities prefer portfolios with pieces that are mixed media or pieces which are made with one medium? So, Shibani, would you share your thoughts on that first?
I think it's not just one medium. They want to see what all can you do. So probably I think lots and lots of mixed pieces is what they prefer. Until and unless it's completely yet, I mean, even if I say product design also, some skill pages would be there and some kind of 3D like Shalina does. So they prefer a mixed creative package is what I have seen. So colleges prefer a mixed kind of creative. So basically, अगर आपको paper दे दिया जाए, you can fold and do what you want to, or if there is a leather piece, what you can do with it, or if there are watercolors, what can you do with it? So they want to see a mixed.
Absolutely. Shalina, since you offer so many mixed media options, do you want to comment on how much that
Yeah,
matters
yeah.
in the portfolio?
So definitely, colleges do want to see, you exploring different mediums, materials. So that does showcase two things: how hands-on you are with materials and techniques, and the second thing is how you can ideate around materials and use them to express what you're trying to speak about. So in that case, at my studio, I really encourage students to work with different materials and mediums. We do like to include skill pieces, which I think about 3 to 4 pieces that should showcase your skills should definitely be included in every portfolio, even if it's for, design or visual communication. But we do also like to keep in mind that if those skill pieces do express some kind of a story or a narrative and does reflect your skill, that kind of adds to the piece that you're doing. Just purely doing an observation study could also express something. So we do try to kind of incorporate that. And definitely as many materials and mediums that you can use and the child can explore, but also be very careful about weaving them into a narrative that speaks about you and what you're trying to address. It shouldn't also just appear for the sake of it. So that's where we want to kind of be very closely mentoring the child as to how it comes out as an honest trajectory or an offshoot to what the child has been working on. So even if you're working on a painting or a piece and you're graduating to the next piece, it should seem like a natural outcome or an evolution. So that's what we are here, to guide them and
Absolutely.
mentor them about. So
Thank you so
definitely
much.
materials, they should explore as many as they can.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot. It really gives college admissions committee also a view of your diversity and your exploration and curiosity. I will
Yeah.
answer the final question briefly because also we are running out of time for this section. So it's the question is, which country has the best practical and experiential learning in art, design, architecture courses rather than a theoretical approach? I don't think any art and design course really has a theoretical approach. I think everywhere you work, there's a lot of practical work that you do. The US has some excellent programs, Canada has excellent programs, UK has excellent programs. Italy and France have some amazing programs that you have in art and design. India has some really leading art and design program, and a lot of new universities have come up in India, with an affiliation abroad as well. Flame itself has started as a design course, apart from, of course, NID and Srishti, which we all know about. ISD is now doing very well in India. Institute of Marangoni is in India. So we actually have a lot of opportunities across different places. Our students have been studying in CalArts and Parsons and SVA. We've got students studying in UAL. We've got students studying in OCAD and in Emily Carr in Canada. So there are a lot of different options. This year a student is joining LaSalle in Singapore. So there are opportunities to do creative and practical work in all the different fields. So do reach out to us and we'll be happy to give you an idea about the different countries where you can apply for different types of courses. So thank you, Shalina, and thank you, Shibani. Again, sorry to give you such a short period of time because we've just tried to get all the mentors together today itself, but very inspiring, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Richa. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We will now move into our academic research module, which is something we're really excited to showcase to you because we've seen our students really get a lot of value out of it. And we've worked with our mentors who are so passionate and have really helped our students build some great work. I also want to introduce you to Romy and Eva, who both managing the prepLABS work at our end. And Romy, if you'll please introduce the speakers for this segment.
So good afternoon, everyone. Glad to see you here. Like Richa said, on a Sunday morning, you had taken out time to be with us. So on the academic panel, we have three people with us, three mentors. We have Dr. Anurag Kakkar. He's the Associate Professor, Department of Economics, Hansraj College, and he's been mentoring some students with us, like on economics topic. Then we have Dr. Meera Malhan. She's again the Professor of Economics with Delhi College of Arts and Commerce. Dr. Meera Malhan, she has varied interests outside economics also. Like she has been mentoring kids in the area of sociology and other humanities subjects like history and all. Then we have we have Richa Sharma with us. She's a counseling psychologist with over 12 years of experience. And she's been mentoring lots of students actually through academic and youth leadership programs. So I'll let mentors take on the discussion now. We can start with Dr. Anurag Kakkar. If you could just talk about the kind of work that he's doing with students, and then we'll move on to the other mentors.
Okay, a very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Romy, for the introduction. I'm very happy to be part of this discussion, and I've been associated with Inomi for more than a year now. A slight correction in the detail. I'm not serving as an associate professor. I'm serving as an assistant professor at the
I
Department of
did say assistant.
Okay, that's
Maybe.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm serving as an assistant professor at the Department of Economics at Hansraj College. Apart from that, I have also been associated with Indian Institute of Law and Management, Delhi, where I've been serving as a visiting professor. A brief introduction about myself. So I've done my PhD in economics from Jawaharlal Nehru University. I've also completed my master's and MPhil from the same place. I've done my undergraduate in economics honors from Hansraj College. So I've been fortunate enough to go back to my alma mater to serve as a faculty there. I've been working with I think close to 4 students now, where I've been mentoring them over a span of research areas, where I particularly mentor them and provide them with supervision with regard to how to look up for a research question of their interest, how to refine that question, and how to build upon that question to generate meaningful outcome in the form of their research findings from that question. I have a slide. I've made a brief presentation. So with your respect, Romy, can I share the screen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Again, just to give you an overview about how do we really go about it. So I'm sure the structure has already been shared with you. So this is a 12 session approach that we take, where in the first 2 sessions, the student
I'm
is
so
really
sorry, Anurag, I did not share the structure. So if you'll just give me 2 minutes,
Okay.
I'll quickly share the structure and then we
Yeah,
can
sure,
get
absolutely.
into this, right? Okay, then my
Okay.
mistake. Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so
Right.
I'll just stop sharing my screen then.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, here we go, guys. Okay, so essentially, why we are doing this is because it gives the students the ability not only to develop their critical thinking, but also to present themselves well to in their college applications and prepare for college level courses. So when you go to college and you start studying, you'll find that the approach is very different from what we are used to in our Indian curricula like CBSE and ICSE. And it's not about learning and answering questions, but about formulating questions and giving an opinion and a considered, well thought out, educated opinion on something, building an argument, using evidence-based arguments to really come to a conclusion. And a lot of the time, students don't have those skills when they actually start working in colleges, either in leading colleges in the US or in some of the top universities in the UK, or even in liberal arts colleges in India. So doing a research project in school not only helps you develop that skill, but also, of course, enhances your profile for college application. So they see that you are really ready to do that. The structure, one moment. I'll just give me a minute. I'll just share the structure. Why don't you I'm so sorry, just give me one moment.
Yeah, so I can just, start by telling you, like like Anurag started, we have 10 to 12 sessions, depending on the pace of the work involved. They run for over 3 to 6 months. Now, when we say 3 months, it's like really difficult to complete any research work in 3 months. It does require more than 3 months. 3 months only if, the child is very dedicated to this project and we take into consideration the summer break and he can, he or she can give time to this project. With the school work and academics happening and other things happening, it's more practical to look at 4 to 6 months, yeah. And because so on average we are happy with doing 2 sessions a month, right, Anurag? So because there's a lot of deliverables, after the session, the child needs to do the research and give back to the professor for, working on. So that's by and large our structure. Richa, would you like to share something on it?
Yeah. Here. So this is typically how we would work. In the first couple of weeks, someone from our team will work with the student to understand what a research paper is and to sort of understand the methodology. How do you work? How do you put together a research paper? What is the difference between asking a question like what is infinity to actually developing a research question that you can build a paper around? And then you spend a couple of weeks with your professor exploring different ideas and coming up with a research topic in the first place. That itself takes a few sessions. And then you do literature review, data survey, conclusion, and then come to writing. Now, this portion is, I think, what Dr. Kakkar was sort of taking you through in a little more detail on how it works. But this is a rough structure of a 12-week program, which the student can typically finish within 3 weeks, 3 months if they are really focused. Or we would not ask you to take it for more than 6 months, but within 3 to 6 months, that should be over. Over to you, Dr. Kakkar.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing the structure. Let me just share my screen again. So I was fortunate enough to actually have joined the session well before time, so I could actually gather some information with regard to the creative portfolio. So in my opinion, this is not very different from creative portfolio. It's just that along with within the purview of showcasing creative skill of a student, we also add to it in terms of critical thinking, right? So where they can really share what their opinions are, how their opinions are built, and they back it up with relevant information in the form of facts and data. So we help them develop this by the virtue of engaging them in this process of writing a research paper. So as Romy and Richa rightly pointed out, so it is we take them through 12 sessions in order to help them build this research output. That can vary over from 3 months to 6 months, depending upon how regularly the student completes the task assigned to them and how regular they are in terms of meeting the goal set in each session. So it starts with identifying a research topic. So again, so research, in my opinion, is very personal. So it is associated with how a student really thinks. How do they look around? How do they look around things in their neighborhood, in their environment? How do they really feel about a particular area, a particular discipline, and what problem do they identify in that discipline, and whether they are passionate enough to actually address that problem in their area of interest or not. So we help them by technically identifying a research area that could vary in terms of a social science area, in terms of a science area, and then we can further bring it down to different disciplines in each of different sub-disciplines in each of the topics. And then within that area, we help them identify a research topic, right? So if we talk about economics per se, then we help them understand what do they really feel more connected or more concerned about. For example, in economics, if they are more concerned about the growing status or the adverse impact on environmental status around them. So we help them narrow down the research area towards a research topic where they could implement the skills that they have learned over this period in terms of identifying a research problem in the domain of environmental status. We then take them through by guiding them how to actually read up existing literature in order to refine their research topic so as they can reach a research question, a particular question to address. Obviously, research question is important because addressing the same research question which have been addressed before by the virtue of coming up with potential solution does not really serve the purpose of doing research, because research by its mere core represents identifying a problem which has not been addressed, and what new solutions can be then found out, or new patterns, new trends could be found out, so as to develop potential solutions to those challenges. Then we once the research topic and associated research question is framed, then we help them in identifying a particular methodology that they can follow in addressing or going about that question. So the methodology could be quantitative in terms of identifying potential data available in the form of secondary data. If the data is not available, then we discuss the possibility of collecting primary data through different survey mechanisms, or we can also go about it in a qualitative method, where qualitative data or arguments or facts, discussions which have been in place, and then what really has come out of those discussions, we kind of work towards a qualitative data approach. Uh, Thereafter, upon finalizing the methodology as well as the type of data that we'll be working with, then we help them collect, identify, and analyze the data to see what inferences that we can make from the data. How is it aligned with the research question that we are trying to address? Once we get insights in terms of analysis of data, we get insights in terms of what does the existing literature says, what are the potential gaps in the literature, what has not really been talked about. Bringing all those elements together, then we supervise them in terms of drafting the structure of the paper that they would follow in writing that paper. Another very important aspect of writing a paper is to, once you specifically do research, literature review, it is important to properly cite the references, right? So no argument should come out of thin air. There has to be potential reasons behind making any argument, either backed it with data, or it should be backed it with existing academically verified and vetted research articles. So we help them cite resources properly. Once the draft is ready, then the mentors, along with other experts, go over that draft to see what potential scope that draft has for improvement. And upon proofreading the draft, we come up with comments and suggestions to make it further better. And once the draft is ready, then we look up for potential journals or for publication of that research work, right? So that this entire process helps students to build a writing sample of their own, which also showcase, along with the writing part, along with the writing skills, that also showcase their creative side in terms of identifying a problem, looking for a potential solution to that problem, and it also showcases their ability for critical thinking.
Absolutely. And many colleges ask for a writing sample as well, particularly in the US, and this really comes in handy over there. Dr. Kakkar, if you can quickly run us through some sample topics, and then
Yeah.
we could speak the other
Okay,
one.
so I have brought down, I mean, I have somehow brought here some of the research topics. Some of these topics are something that we are also currently working with, not exactly these topics. So again, as I said, it's important to identify what is the area of interest in terms of a particular core area that the student is interested in. Once we identify that area, for example, if we identify it to be economics or any of the disciplines in social sciences, then within each area, we kind of try to explore which part or which particular classification of or sub area of that particular domain that the student is interested in. So here, for example, if the student is interested in behavioral economics or how individual make decisions, so then some of the sample research topics could be that student could analyze what could be the impact of cognitive biases on financial decision making, what potential parameters or factors that run behind financial decision making in emerging markets among individuals. We can also talk about digital nudges, that what nudges can be given to individuals so as to strengthen them in terms of promoting financial literacy among specifically youth. So again, this is very contemporary, and it is related to one of the research topic over which one of the students have already written a piece of paper which is accepted to be published as a chapter in a book. Another sub area could be economics of education. So within that, the research topic could be that how can we assess the current economic returns of higher education. We can do a comparative study across countries. We can do a comparative studies across states within a country. We can also talk about the role of financial literacy in college readiness and how it can have an impact on long-term career outcomes. So as you all may be aware that currently we have this national education policy, or vis-a-vis the new education policy which was rolled out in 2020. So another interesting study could be that whether this national education policy 2020, what impact does it have in terms of learning outcomes of individuals or students at a higher education level in the country. Then we can also look at sub areas such as inequality and development economics, where we can study economic inequality and social mobility. We can do a longitudinal data study where we see that over the time, how does social mobility has been can be correlated to economic inequality. We can also study the role of microfinance in alleviating rural poverty. For example, there's a very classic study which is being conducted in villages in Karnataka, where they looked at the social structure in which families or individuals are located, and how does their social structure help them actually adapt to uh, uh, borrowing money from microfinance institutions, and how did it really help them grow out of rural poverty. Similarly, there can be sub-area in the domain of labor economics and workforce, how specifically in the current period, gig economy, or what could be the potential future of work with the onset of artificial intelligence. Conventional jobs are under potential threat of being replaced by artificial intelligence tools. So how non-conventional job roles could be defined in the form of, for example, gig economy. What could be the role of skills in the context of labor market resilience, that is also another potential area of research. Similarly, digital economy, how digital currency in the form of bitcoins are taking over the conventional currencies. What are the associated challenges and regulatory perspectives in place? What is the role of AI in financial services? So again, I was just sharing with the Inomi team that I have been fortunate enough to get a book proposal approved by Taylor and Francis, where we are actually looking at the role of artificial intelligence in financial sustainability, where we can look at the balance between efficiency and ethical consideration. Sustainability and environmental economics, something that I gave you an example of, that how can we look into economics of climate change, what potential measures that could be undertaken where we can bring sustainability between economic activity and environmental status.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think the passion with which Dr. Kakkar works, I've seen students also respond with equal passion and really do research which has value, and something that can be published in some of these journals. And often, I found even if students are struggling to write, Dr. Kakkar's approach has always been extremely mentoring, saying, okay, this seems like you've really not got this together. Particularly, I remember a student had used a lot of AI to put their work together, and he was extremely encouraging of the students, saying that, listen, you can just rewrite these parts and it'll work out for you, and then we'll be able to publish it properly. So I think that students have a lot to gain from here, and to actually understand how to work through this uphill journey of putting a research paper together in a joyful and a productive way. So thank you so much, Dr. Kakkar. I think we have Dr. Meera Malhan with us here also,
Yeah.
who works in several social sciences area. Romy, if you'd like to invite her.
Yes, yes, Dr. Meera Malhan, I've already introduced you earlier, so I would like to take, you to kind of give some insight into the kind of projects that you are doing and working with the children, please.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me. And thank you so much, Dr. Kakkar. It's a very insightful manner in which a paper is made. It's the grind that they all have to go through. Maybe at different levels, there is a different level of difficulty, but it at times might be daunting for these young little children with very inquisitive minds, but it's a process which can be actually channeled into getting something very productive. So as Dr. Anurag has already mentioned to you, there is a process by which we work on getting a research paper done. The first, of course, is trying to find out. So the way that I work is to find out the interest of the child. So mostly I try to look at what are their hobbies, what is they're interested in. Because one thing is very clear. This is not something that you're going to be marked upon. There is no out of 10, there is no out of 100, there is no out of anything. It is a process which you should enjoy doing. And that is what I try to get into focus along with what they want to do in their undergrad level. So all these things need to be combined, collected, and then worked on. As he's already mentioned to you, there is what is, so he did say, talk about the research question, which is also what is known as a research gap. What is the gap between what is already there and what is it that you are going to do? And I know that because you have limited and the fact that, the exposure is not so much. So, or whether it's Dr. Anurag or whether it's me, we'll always try to work around something that, fits within your ability and fits within what everybody wants and you are interested in. So that is that research gap that one looks for. In the slide that Dr. Anurag said, he also talked about literature review. So something which is known as literature review is a review of what already has been done. So you tend to go to articles, you read, and you say this. So initially, because you are very new to this, and so I tell them, okay, you just read the introduction or just read the abstract, which will give you an idea of what this paper is all about. When you find that there is something that interests you, then please go ahead and read the 40, 50, 30 odd pages are there. But if you find that what you are looking for is not there, you can look at different views, take it, your knowledge always increases. And I'm sure both Dr. Anurag and I, in the process of working with you, have increased our knowledge. Our way, our thought process also has increased tremendously. So it's a give. Both of us are taking from each other. We are not only giving to you, we are taking from you also. So we are together as children, as people, as mentors, learning from each other. Learning never stops. So that's what I try to do. So I have done a number of papers in sports, because we look at the economics of sports. Sometimes it's economics of IPL, sometimes economic of football, because these are the things that they are interested in. There was one paper that I worked with a child who looked at why was FIFA in Qatar and how did FIFA help Qatar? You see, so FIFA monetarily never helped Qatar. It only showcased it as a country, which is why it is where it is today. So there are certain variables which cannot be quantified and be put into money. So these are the things that I try and take out from the children and say, let me tell you. There are sometimes that I've done papers where say they're interested in music and they have maths. So they say, let's just get the amalgamation together. So we look and research, and you find Pythagoras theorems also, and so many other ways that which mathematics is used in music and vice versa. So there are lots of concepts which are overlapping. So then as Richa and Romy have mentioned, that I've done social sciences. So I'd also help children try to find out the similarities between Shakespeare and Girish Karnad. Or I find out, is Shakespeare relevant today? It is, because you have so many movies like Macbeth, and which have been made into Hindi movies, which you will relate with. So every individual, every country has translated something which is 2-3 centuries ago because it's relevant. So there is always some relevance somewhere that you can take out. So research means nice, बड़ो तड़ोड़ कर कुछ ना कुछ तो उसमें से निकालना ही है. That is what the aim is. And we try to bring and amalgamate all of that together in this paper. The process, Dr. Anurag has very, very explicitly mentioned to you. So the citing is important, and that's something that you learn now. And the thing is that this paper that you get ready, right, it's published. So, but at times when you are going back to your undergrad level, then you tend to go through it because you have done it yourself. You know that what bibliography is, what is citation, what is a research gap, what is an abstract, what is a literature review. So these are words which are familiar, and you will be made to write papers on your own there. So normally the paper that is published is anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 words, anywhere between that. Normally a journal does not want something like this 8,000 words. And so they restrict, they say, "Aap itna tak hi de de." And it works like this, and that's how we manage to get all of you together to look at the topics, to look at, now suddenly you find tariffs will become very important, because at home everybody is saying, what is Trump doing? He's only talking either tariff do, udhar se na lo, 90 days gap do, then you automatically say, what is tariffs and how is it going to affect the economy? And why do we go in for tariffs and why do we do this? So that's a way that you can try. When tariff is not good for an economy, why is it that he's trying to push it in and push it down everybody's throat? But because it's related to supremacy, it's related to the power equations that you have. So sometimes they overspill into political aspects that you're trying to do. Sometimes they're trying to get the person on the table, which will be beneficial for the country that is imposing the tariffs. So, all these types of things are worked upon during this research paper. So it's learning, writing, and putting together an extremely relevant baby of the little student who is ready to go on and spread his wings now, or her wings, after maybe
Such a lovely insight you've given, Dr. Malhan. I mean, it's so beautifully put. Dr. Anurag gave us a very structured way of managing research, and here you've given such a lovely aspect, making it so interesting for children to take it up, and there's a purpose to it, and thank you so much for your insights. I would like to welcome Richa Sharma now. She's been taking our students on the psychology part, research. And I know we are running a little late, but Richa, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Romy. And I would like to start by saying that the earlier speakers have already done my job brilliantly. So thank you, Dr. Anurag and Dr. Meera. You actually summed up what academic research in social sciences seems like. I just want to quickly, without taking much of your time, I would like to check if you're able to see my screen. This is visible, right? And I'm audible as well. Okay. So welcome to research in psychology, and research in all social sciences do follow a similar structure, like Professor Anurag has already shared. And what makes psychology very interesting is it's a very widely loved subject among students these days. I feel I had read this subject about 18-20 years back, but it's gained momentum among the Gen Z and the younger population now post-COVID. And psychologists ask a wide range of questions that impact human behavior, and they aim to improve or cause real world impact, right? So for instance, a very relevant topic in today's time might be, how does a war situation impact one's mental health, right? And then you choose your population and you begin surveying, or you choose the method of your study. So quickly going through the steps, which are quite similar to what you've learned earlier. So you choose a topic. And how do you choose a topic? Of course, wonderfully stated. Depending on the child's own aptitude, personality, interest, hobby, circumstances, something that you've really loved. So for instance, you have been a fan of the Harry Potter series or J.R.R. Tolkien's, Lord of the Rings and fantasy fiction. And then you delve on the themes of inspiration or existentialism among these movies. And then it becomes a qualitative research. You just explore those themes and study more. But then there are more experimental mode of researches in psychology, where you choose an independent variable, the variable that is the cause, and the dependent variable, the effect, okay? For instance, frustration leads to aggression. So a very easy format for your research question or hypothesis is, if A, then B. And your A could be, writing 3 good gratitude aspects every day might lead to better quality of life. Okay. Or excess social media usage might lower self-esteem. So this is the kind of format that you might zero in on. And I really, and all researchers recommend that you should choose a topic which can be specific. There are endless pool of topics that you can choose from, but you need to make it very, very specific for your research to be making sense. And then you decide upon the mode of study, whether you want to conduct an experiment, you want to, do an observation, you want to use open-ended survey questions, etc. You also read lots of academic journals on your subject. Your school library would have academic journals and resources. And even if you are a young student of class 9th or 10th or 11th, 12th, I really recommend at least give a shot, go there and read one research paper, and then you will be able to understand whether it's for me. Because a research paper, I believe, is not like a magazine article. It has got a very different structure. So you might be fascinated about writing, but then that might be a different form of writing. And academic writing has a very different structure, and it has to be extremely lucid, and it has to make sense. And you don't just have to you don't just have to repeat what previous researchers have done. You need to add some value or validate what they've done, right? So then you develop your hypothesis, like we already discussed. So A leads to B. That is a standard format I'd like to share. You plan your experimental design, and your mentor definitely helps you out how to go about that, how to choose your variables well, how to keep other factors constant that are your control variables. So in psychology, independent variable, dependent variables, these are terms that you'll keep hearing constantly, time and again. I also have a parallel career in music. I'm a musician. I make a lot of music. I perform and sing. And that's where, you could use a parallel of study, like, measure your performances in study, or your study skills or study habits while playing some music or without music, and how does it impact. And researchers have backed that listening to ambient music of 60 or 70 beats per minute definitely lowers our cortisol and activates the more happy hormones inside our brain and things like that. And we know this because there have been researchers who studied these topics, right? And choose your subjects wisely. And in psychology, subject is not just the literature, the subject that you're studying, subject is the population that you're working with, right? So your sample, so what is your sample? What's going to be the size of your sample? How are you going to select? There are various techniques on that. So whether it's word of mouth, whether it's a random assignment, whether it's a snowball, and because different types of samples might not be available at all time. If you're studying war widows, for instance, or if you're studying a particular demography, you need to zero in that particular sample size. And yes, consent is extremely important, and keeping your subjects data private is very, very important. You definitely learn that in the process of your research. And now comes the most, I would say, many students dread this, the mathematical part, the statistical part of research, including myself. But this is what makes it the most interesting. Record your results clearly using the tests or measures that you've chosen. Choose your statistical method that you will be employing to treat your data, which will help you interpret your findings, right? And then put them on the graphical representation through pie charts, graphs, and various other graphical representations. And I would suggest write. गलत लिखिए चाहे जैसे भी लिखिए, but you start writing and then keep revisiting it, keep refining it. And although we have AI tools, ChatGPT, etc., but I don't recommend depending on them completely, because that would be a lot of plagiarism. You will be getting a lot of content which other people have also used. So I would suggest start with writing on your own, and you will realize that you have a great skill set of writing, and you can refine it with the help of your mentor. And you could use AI tools only to structure your content.
Yeah, I think that's very nicely said, Richa, because children are relying heavily on AIs and chat GPTs and stuff, and it's very it's easy for them to kind of reach out to it and conclude their work. So it's the way you said that start writing, and everybody can write, and the mentors are there to help. Right. So we have just a last slide before we conclude.
Yes, this is just the last one, and then you review it, you show it to your mentor, and and then you revise it. And of course, the bibliography part has already been covered. In psychology, we use the APA format, the American Psychological Format of citations, for mentioning the bibliography part, or writing the credits. Please check for plagiarism. That's again very, very important, because I get to see that a lot in the university and colleges where we work. Check formatting. It makes a lot of impact, how you have presented your paper, what's the kind of font you've used, your graphics, etc., spellings, and then proofread. And here, this is a takeaway that I'd love to give to anyone who is interested in research in psychology. Some standard books that you can definitely keep at home if you aim to study psychology as a subject, and if you aspire to engage in research. My favorites are the Fred and Kurlinger Foundations of Behavioral Research and A.K. Singh. So A.K. Singh is a very lucid and easy and an Indian style text, which covers up the topics in a very lucid manner. Foundations of Behavioral Research is a slightly more academic and intellectual kind of work, and you really enjoy reading this. But there are some other texts that I've also added out here. I hope this adds some value, and this is helpful. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Richa.
Romy, can I add something to it?
Yes, please.
Just briefly. Like, so I mean, I've been reading some of the messages on the chat as well. So I believe because there are a lot of technical words such as literature review, data analysis that has come up in this discussion. But if I simply, as Professor Meera has also tried to very lucidly explain, in my opinion, if I would like to explain research, so apart from preparing a research writing sample, which would help enhance the application of the student, I think technically for me there are two takeaways from this entire process. First, that we help the child understand things better by the virtue of engaging them in reading and analyzing what has been written. Secondly, we also help them become more responsible about what they say or what they argue. Right? Because whatever they claim, whatever they think, whatever their opinions are about, we try to teach them how to be more responsible towards it by the virtue of trying and reading and trying and back it up with data as well as researched work. Right? So one of the problems that I personally face while teaching at an undergraduate or postgraduate level, and what we face in general in society, is that people argue and claim a lot of things, but there are no basis for it. Right? So that means technically they have not really researched it well. Right? So that's the basic aptitude that we help these kids develop in this process, and obviously it then adds value to their application as a research output as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anurag and Richa and Dr. Malhan. Great to have you on our panel. I'm sure our audience would have gained so much from this, and would have also got some clarity on what is this research paper. Like, it's such a terror-looking kind of a terminology, like you're saying, research paper. What is it? So thank you so much for clarifying so many things. And if there's anything else, we've asked our audience to reach out to us on a certain email, and we'll be in touch with you on those queries.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Now it's time for our non-STEM panelists to be on board. Yeah, Richa.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for really inspiring all of us. I think all of us have been discussing with each other how exciting it is to hear everything that you have to say. And now we want to move on to our STEM panel. And as the STEM panel comes in, there's a very interesting question on the chat. If the professors want to take a look and give it a shot, they're saying, what kind of question? Sort of a STEM question regarding science, technology, and sociology, anthropology. I'm sure it's not easy to, just bring a research question out from the air, but there must be interesting areas of overlap that one could explore. Okay, moving on to the pure STEM areas now. Eva, I'd like you to please introduce our STEM speakers.
Sure. Thank you, Richa. And good afternoon, everyone. What a way to spend a Saturday afternoon. I mean, my mind is blown. Thank you so much to all our wonderful mentors. So much knowledge exchange, so much information. I'm sure our parents are going to go with a lot of good decision and good information in their hands. So moving on, we have on our STEM panel, Dr. Nikhil Paliwal, Dr. Ganga Amritesh, and Dr. Mansi Khanna. We would like to start with Dr. Nikhil Paliwal. He is a senior research fellow at UCL British Heart Foundation. And he's also involved in computational biology and artificial intelligence. And I know that he has worked with already a few students in Inomi. And so next is Dr. Ganga Amritesh. She's an independent educator, a research guide with specializations in cell and molecular biology, virology, reproductive and environmental biology, and zoology. So, amazing fields. We also have Dr. Mansi Khanna. She's a dedicated STEM research enthusiast with 13 years of experience exploring and contributing to advancements across science, technology, and engineering. What a illustrious panel. Over to you, Dr. Paliwal. We should start with you.
Hi, can you all hear me and see me all right?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Oh, perfect. Thank you for such a kind introduction. Really pleasure to be here. I'll just give a brief background about myself. I graduated from IIT Kanpur. I had a BTech in bioengineering. Then I moved on to the US to do a PhD in mechanical engineering. And then I did a postdoc in cardiology. So I've jumped fields quite a lot. So I've tried to gain experience from new field all the time. So I've done mechanical engineering, bioengineering. I've learned a lot of neurosurgical research as well. And I've done cardiology as well. I think what's been common throughout all this experience is that the use of engineering and computer science in fields that are not core to engineering. For example, I've used skill sets that I gained in my PhD in people who have brain aneurysm. So we try to understand how brain aneurysm work and how to treat them. We also looked at people that have atrial fibrillation. It's a condition of the heart where people might have stroke. So we looked at that, and the essence was to use engineering or image processing skills to be able to answer some of those clinical questions. Because a lot of time what is happening is that the clinical community and the engineering community have a clear disconnect between them. So you need to be able to go through the other field and try to ask the question, what is the problem that you're having? Then, and we might be able to have a solution. So I kind of work in that. So I don't really have a specific skill set, but I just try to understand clinical questions and answer them. So with respect to doing research papers, I've been working with two amazing students who've just finished their work. They had quite broad topics actually. One of them was doing research on how the aviation jets, the airlines, can reduce their costs by making their jets more efficient. So it was more on sustainability. We were able to use machine learning in order to answer this question, and the student did amazingly well to produce an amazing paper on that. And the second student that I worked with, he was more interested in diseases. So we worked on the disease called atrial fibrillation, which I already mentioned, and he used medical images of actual patients to do artificial intelligence and machine learning on them to see if we can predict the outcome of these patients. So this is the two kind of broad sense, but the common theme, like I said, is AI. We use AI mostly in our research because the clinical data is so structured and so big that we need to use those kind of tools. But then the application are really wide. So it truly, I'm just gonna echo what has been said in the previous session. The application truly depends on the interest of the student. If the student has a very specific interest and they really want to pursue it, it's our job try to focus them or hone them into a specific question that they can really enjoy working on. I'm not going to talk a lot about how the research is done, literature review, and everything has been talked about. I'm here to try to have some discussions about how we can use these STEM tools, for example, machine learning, image processing, and data analytics, to really try to answer questions that are more focused on some clinical or engineering, these kind of needs. So yeah, I'm really happy to be in this panel. I don't want to talk more because a lot has already been said, and yeah, really happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Nikhil. We also have with us Dr. Mansi Khanna. And Mansi, are you there? Mansi has also worked with many of our students over a few years now, and she's helped them do research on lots of data analytics areas. And one very interesting one was the interface of mathematics and history when we were looking at war and displacement and the data around that. And then another student worked on pollution data. I'll leave it to you, Mansi, to share with students what are the various things that students could do.
So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Inomi, for having me again. So, a little brief about me. So, I have been working in this field of, with the students since past 13 years. And in the, the school students specifically for their portfolio development over past 9 years. So, what do I do and what do I have been doing? So, I have the experience with working with the pleasure of working with Bach, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, etc. And there I, gained a lot of experience that what is basically research, and that's where I learned to the grassroots levels. And that's what I've been trying to basically instigate in the students also, that they also get that feeling and that skill with them, because that's the way forward. Specifically targeting the coursework related with STEM related subjects. Also, along with that, nowadays a lot of institutes and colleges are looking forward to something where students already have uh, an experience with the psychology, let's say cross reference of applications. Let's say with the psychology you are doing some data science and data analysis, and also using some artificial and machine learning over there. I'll just share my PPT with you, and let's talk about what all I can help the students with. So basically, when I work with the students, I try to target their STEM portfolio, their college applications in the way, and what can all be done. So there can be domains like electronics, computer science, simulations, CAD modeling, anywhere, any tool, which depending again on the application, since everyone has been talking exactly, that's the way we can work on that. We have to work on that because depending on the need. Let's say a student is working on a real life application or real life uh, simulation. So, basically improvement of a dam design, from starting from there to anywhere, developing a new shape of fan. You want to simulate something, as different as that. So all these things require simulation, etc. Talking more about this. So in electronics, obviously, all of us are aware that these days electronics, prototype development, manufacturing, and upscaling it to the extent targeting the college applications. Let's say I'm a student aspiring to, basically apply for environmental engineering. So that's where the student can basically is my screen visible to anyone?
No. Are you sharing a screen? So sorry. Now it says that you're screen sharing.
Oh, okay. So,
Still, we can't see the screen yet for whatever reason. Yeah, now we can see it.
we can see. So basically, the prototype development is one stage. Earlier, it used to be that, the colleges used to be really happy. Okay, you have done a prototype development. Wow, excellent. But now the things have really changed over the past few years. They don't only need to see, they don't only appreciate only the factor of prototype development, but they also want to see what was your reach, how much were you able to upscale your project, how much were you able to reach out, how much were you able to basically propagate it, make it useful, how much you were able to implement it. you are trying to apply for any environment engineering. Let's say you develop a sensor which is helping the farmers, do the testing of the soil. It's very simple, but yet have to efficiently upscale it. It can be also, putting a nutshell of one product which is giving the impact. We talk about data analysis in any field. So these days, data analysis using Python is being called for, is being appreciated in every college applications these days, calling about even biology as, minute as someone say, like biology, in how can a biology student use that very efficiently? The cancer patients, whether saying the tumor by the image, by the scans, can it be diagnosed as benign or malignant, something like that. As for such kind of papers, when done, they put a good portfolio development and help the students really well in their future endeavors. Then obviously I've spoken about the CAD modeling, simulations, app development and web development, put together with rest of the factors gives you a whole story. Specifically app development, web development can help you again if you upscale it, you show your reach and put in the effort, innovation in the sense of idea and concept, as good as, like, I'm trying to basically do a major in let's say math, but I've used my mathematical skills to basically develop a game which can help the students learn the mathematical concepts. So that's the ideology, and that's the application. You can use it and showcase how creative you are in using your skills. And then we talk about the different outcomes of such things. Obviously, research paper leads to research publications, scientific blogs in Medium, etc. It really helps. Also, there is one thing which colleges really appreciate and have shown good results are the IPRs. So basically, if the students have developed over the years an understanding of IPRs, like intellectual property rights, patents, copyrights, etc., really shows good work over there. Here are a few examples I'm trying to just walk you through. So this is one of the unraveling force immigration. One of the students did it. I'll just walk you all through it.
Have we? Okay.
Did we lose?
No, I'm here.
Mansi's just
trying to
taking us through a particular topic.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was a paper written by a student for, showing his geopolitical project. And we did use a lot of Python over here to do a visualization to show, and this was all his work, but obviously on the secondary data. But yes, showing the work, the showcasing the in-depth analysis of forced immigration. That in fact, it was basically how war has basically guided the pattern of immigration, etc., and the refugees over the past year. So this really helped this kid to get into Brown University. And apart from that, research publications, uh, like such where, talking about economics, and you were talking about uh, over the past period, how it has been helping the students, helping the entire country, how it has been working around, again, the same patterns, and then using all those tools like I use efficiently. This was basically done on Excel, and the same thing can be obviously done on Python also. So this was basically done on Python, the earlier was in Excel, etc. So having said that, not only this, getting some IPRs done, how do they help? Basically, obviously, they establish a kind of a repo, and it's not necessary that you get it approved, but yes, it shows that you know the process, the learning is there, and it really looks good on the portfolio that the learning curve was there. How can we project this further in all the other learning outcomes of our? We can look for more validation through the help of Crest Gold, through the help of building the portfolio in the sense of putting the students to Diana Awards, through some other reputed competitions like Ignite, Iris, etc. It really looks well with the help of these portfolios, these projects. Along with that, it establishes the reputation, establishes the validation, and gives good content to the student. This was from my end. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Mansi. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. And we got to see some of the work that's beautiful. Lot of effort obviously has gone into it. Let's bring in Dr. Ganga now.
Thank you, Eva. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
yes.
All right.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me here, and thank you for that elaborate introduction. Even I kind of sat up and said, "Oh wow, have I done all of that really?" um, and I really loved all that I heard in this session since I logged in around say about 12:40. Dr. Anurag, Dr. Meera, Richa, Dr. Mansi, every speaker who's Dr. Paliwal, every speaker who's come in here before me has sort of put research really up there and very aspirational. I'm sure for many parents who are hearing in also, it's like, wow, patents, IPR, and your eyes must be lighting up thinking about young people being able to do all of these things. But I will say something which is a little different. And over here, I would bring back what I've done. I began my career as a scientist. I did my PhD in cell and molecular biology, and all of those fields which Eva mentioned were collaterals which happened because I did my PhD via 2 attempts. So I worked in all those fields of biology. And after that, I actually moved away to work with children. So for the largest part of my working years, I worked with children, and especially those who find it a little hard to fit in. Sometimes they're called gifted, or sometimes they are disabled for whatever reasons. But it has taken me through all those places, interacting with all those people. And at every point in time, I remembered what I did through my research years, which is to be a keen observer, which is to observe so keenly so that you are able to identify the gaps and the lacunae. And then you know what you want to solve. Then comes the question of, but if I want to solve something, how am I going to do it? Do I have the resources? Where can I find the resources? How do I put that information together? Whom can I ask for help? Should I give credit to those who helped me while I was trying to figure out what to do? And then eventually, when you solve the problem, what you've done is you've created something new. And then how do you seek credit for that? And that I figured out is what a research paper and the research journey is all about. And it is therefore accessible to everyone and anyone. All kinds of children who aspire to be inquisitive. So it's not just if you're a high achiever or you're gifted in a certain space. I feel every child has the potential to pursue research and to literally go out there and publish a paper. So sometimes it is uh, like every other speaker has said, it is literally tailor made to the interests of the child. If they have already read about a lot of things and they come to me saying that this is what I want to do and they're so sure, then we try to widen that view pane and see what exactly in this space is interesting to them. Because, like some other speaker here mentioned, we try to bring in the element of specificity. Otherwise, it's too vast and the child loses interest. Um, we also touch upon very interesting thing which somebody else over here said is about interdisciplinary approach. And our traditional curricula actually compartmentalize knowledge, whereas what research is all about is to tell you that everything mixes with everything. So even though we work in biology, there could be an aspect of design that comes in, where you want to create, let's say, an animation of how a certain molecular mechanism is taking place within the cell. or you want to mix in, like, let's say, anthropology and biology, where Richa also put in over here a very interesting topic about culture and food and how does that affect gut health. And then there is this whole gut brain axis. So there's a plethora of things, and literally we can explore whatever the child is interested in. And then comes this approach to doing research, which is about whether we want to do theoretical research that works towards like creating what's called a review paper, or we want to do hands-on practical research, which then is about creating new data in an interesting area and then publishing that. A lot of things children pick up in the process, of course. The first being academic honesty, where we give credit to work that has been done by others, and also claim sort of respect for your own work that you've done when you publish it using your own language, and you understand the importance of using AI as an aid, but not as the creator of the new content. So all of this, I think, also develops them as a person. It develops resilience. It develops a sense of, also awareness, and uh, the spirit of being inquisitive and curious, which is something we all must sustain through life.
Yeah, that's thank you, Dr. Ganga. That was beautifully put. I agree, and I think this leads. It's a wonderful segue for why Inomi has introduced prepLABS. So for us, prepLABS is a place where you can experiment with anything and everything, which is why we have included creative as well as academic research, because just like Dr. Ganga said, life is transdisciplinary. It's not, we are all interconnected. So just like she said, right, one might want to present something using animation or a art medium or a movie, anything, and it can be research. So it's a wonderful organization. I would say we are under the umbrella of Inomi, and it's actually started in 2022.
Let me give that little bit of context. Yeah, let me give the little bit of context. So, we started this prepLABS in 2020, actually, when COVID hit. And that's, if you remember, Mansi, that's the first time
Yeah.
we did projects in data analytics. And, we got a group of students. I think the first year we had about 25 students. And then the next year we had about 40 students, where we did various things across filmmaking, podcast, we did data science, we did academic research. So we had many different areas, photography, we had some minor things that students did also. And then as COVID went and the online world sort of, came down, we said, okay, let's focus on our college applications again. So for the last 2 years, it's just been students who we are already working with in college applications, who we've been reaching out to our mentors with, saying that, can you do this project for us? And then this year, we really can see the value that these projects are adding to the students' journey, not just when they are applying to college, but also as students, in terms of their confidence in what they can talk about themselves and how they can present themselves in college. And so we were all inspired to really give life to the prepLABS again. And that's why we've sort of relaunched it today. And we have reached out to all of you, and we want to showcase everything that we are doing across the academic research and across the different portfolios. So a quick recap, if you see, these were the creative portfolios for you to work on: filmmaking, podcast, 2D, 3D art, as well as design. Where you can look at 30-hour programs for filmmaking and podcasts. The portfolio programs can run between 1 to 2 years. It takes time for, conceptualization, skill building, for the student to really bring things together. So it's not set within a period of time, and there are various sort of models in which you could work, which we'll be happy to share with you on a case-to-case basis. And then when we look at the academic research, then you work with the mentors who you've met, who are so inspiring, and across all these various fields. And you develop independent thinking, you enhance your profile for college, and you also prepare yourself for college level courses, so that your ability to perform better in college is really up out there. This is the structure of how a typical 12-week research project runs. Starting with understanding what research is, building your research topic, literature review, data and survey, writing a conclusion, and putting the whole paper together. And here are some journals that our students can can publish work in. It's not very easy to publish your work in very reputed journals, but a lot of them are these journals are journals that accept student work. The bottom three are more like repositories where anybody can put up their work, but there are certain norms that you need to follow to be able to be accepted by these repositories as well, which our mentors can guide you for. So just want to tell you that these are wonderful and brilliant opportunities. Eva, if you want to add anything, Romy, if you want.
Yeah, sure. I do want to add something. You know, as we all know, we are heading to an AI ruled era. And what is it that our students need to do to be able to be part of that revolution? It's the fourth revolution. We all know that. And what we are looking with prepLABS is to develop students to become thought leaders, original thinkers, original creative thinkers, and because that is where the world is headed. So the jobs that come in the future, they are not looking for employees. The employees will be all automated and AI related, right? We are looking for leaders, and that's what we want to create in originality, critical thinking, and creativity. That's what prepLABS is offering you. Over to you, Richa.
Right, so I've just shared our contact details here again. And if you have any questions, we are here for a while and you can put your questions in the meeting chat. I put our brochure here as well. Please do reach out to us. It's really been wonderful having all of you here. And thank you so much, Nikhil, for taking the time and for being such a wonderful mentor to our students. And thank you, Mansi, for your continued support with our students over the years. And thank you so much, Ganga, for all your passion and for being and bringing the life sciences into our fold. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you so
Thank you
much,
for
Richa ma'am.
everybody.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
It's been really
Thank
enlightening
you.
for all of us. Thank you. Thank you, Nikhil.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you, people.